So we're on live stream, councillors.
Like the night before Christmas. Good evening, everyone. Members of the public gallery should note that the Council records and publishes Council meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of Council meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also archived and may be published on Council's website for viewing by the public or used for publicity or information purposes. At the appropriate times during the meeting, members of the gallery may address the Council, at which time their image, comments or submissions will be recorded. Members of the public who are not in attendance at the Council meeting but who wish to communicate with the Council via the online web form should lodge their questions or comments early in the meeting to ensure that their submissions can be dealt with at the end of the meeting. Please could gallery visitors, councillors and invited online attendees ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. Wellington Shire Council acknowledges our offices are located on the traditional lands of the Gunai Nation. We pay our deep respects to their elders past, present and future and acknowledge their ongoing cultural and spiritual connections to their land and waters. CEO, we have no apologies.
Yes, just one, Mayor. Councillor Wells.
On leave, yes. Any declarations of conflicts of interest, councillors?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I have a conflict of interest in relation to item 12.4 because of my involvement with the Friends of Esco Town. So I'll declare that and leave the meeting at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Any other declarations of conflict of interest? We have item 3, the confirmation of the minutes of the previous council meeting. There are 2 sets of minutes for approval. We have an adoption in recommendation in front of us.
I move that Council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the special council meeting of 18 November 2024 and the ordinary council meeting of 19 November 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Madeleine. Seconded, Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? Not being opposed, it's carried. Any comments there? No, thank you. No business arising from previous meetings, no late or urgent items, no notices of motion have been received. No petitions, joint letters at the moment. Invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements. I believe we might have a couple of those. Thank you, Councillor Stevens.
I'll go first. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to just have it noted that yesterday was the 30th anniversary of the formation of the Wellington Shire, formed on the 2nd of December 1994. I meant to ask Councillor Tatterson if he was present at the swearing-in of the commissioners, because I think if he wasn't, then I might be the only person in the room who was present at that event. The commissioners were sworn in, I think about 11 o'clock in the morning on the 2nd of December. Commissioner John Guy, he was the head commissioner. Commissioner Pat Price, who came from Bairnsdale, and Commissioner John Capp also came from Bairnsdale. So they were, and the interim CEO at the time was a gentleman called Ross Taverner, who came from the Shire of Bruthen at Lakes Entrance. I think it was the Shire of Bruthen. I'm sure that's right. And they were, and so that was the start of the new council. And of course, at the time, we had 5 councils came together: the Shires of Alberton, Avon, Rosedale, and Maffra, and the City of Sale. And of course, it was a very interesting time because not everyone was in favour, of course, of the formation of the Wellington Shire, and there were some people that I think were dragged reluctantly into the amalgamation. It was a major time because of we had to bring together the 5 systems and 5 different, I mean, even though everyone was council, everyone had different ways of doing things. So it was a major task, and a lot of the staff, of course, moved on too. That was not an easy transition time, but congrats have to go to all the people that formed that time and did the transition. And I think we need to acknowledge all the officers and councillors who have come along in that last 30 years, because I think the Wellington Shire has worked pretty well together to get to where we are today. So I think it's just very important for us to acknowledge our history. I'm a great believer that we need to be aware of where we came from, and today we can be proud of the work that was done. And I don't think I'll be here for another 30 years, but I wish everyone that's sails in the HMAS Wellington into the future all the very best, and hopefully they can continue the work that's been done in the past by our staff and our councillors. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. And I think, well, there's always going to be arguments about where the lines should have been drawn around the communities. The fact is that wherever you wander around our shire, it looks pretty good. Everyone would like more in their own area, but we haven't seen I've seen so much improvement in so many areas, especially driving down main streets. Looking down the main street of Yarram now, for instance, your hometown, it looks magnificent down there. Obviously retailers are having a hard time, but being able to actually have do what we can do, which is the drainage system's gone in over recent decades, and the tree plantings down there, for instance. But you go through Maffra and Stratford and Rosedale, and there's been continuous improvement, and Hayfield, of course, and we can keep going. Been continuous improvement in so many of these places, but there's still so much more work to do, a lot of which can only be done with the size of the amalgamated councils, because the individual councils really struggle with a lot of that infrastructure, especially a lot of the bridges that were being built. I think there's 100 timber bridges. One by one, after the amalgamation, they were all dealt with a lot of federal money and state money help. But these sort of tasks have been done well, I think, by the amalgamated councils. 30 years on, it's amazing it's gone, that time's gone. Thank you, Councillor Bannerman.
So I wish to extend my thanks to the Rosedale RSL branch, who invited me to partake of their end-of-year lunch on Sunday and share some of their concerns and ideas for visions of how to grow both the RSL and the community infrastructure in Rosedale. And I would also like to make note of and offer my thanks to the Armed Forces Museum, who proffered an invitation to their open day on Sunday to all of the councillors. I was lucky enough to be able to take them up on that, and would just like to acknowledge them for running a really wonderful, rich facility just out at West Sale there.
Thank you, Councillor Bannerman. That's terrific. The acknowledgement of the armed forces and the RSL is, of course, particularly important in our area, given the importance of the RAF to our community, and many of those who settle in our communities too. So thank you for representing council there. Any other addresses or presentations or acknowledgements? Then we'll move on. No questions on notice, I believe, CEO. Any delegates' reports? We have the 11.1 Assembly of Councillors report. I have a motion there for someone to move that. Thank you, Councillor Fote.
I move that the Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Councillor records for the period of the 11th of November 2024 to the 24th of November 2024.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Ripper. Is that motion opposed? Motion not being opposed is carried. Did you wish to speak? Then we move on to the 11.2, the adoption of the 2025 council meeting dates. Do I have a motion there, councillors? Thank you, Councillor Lowe.
I move forward that the council, 1, adopt the 2025 council meeting dates and the times as attached, and 2, publish the 2025 council meeting dates, times and place on the council's website.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Bannerman. Just by a brief whiskey to you, Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? Motion not being opposed is carried. Did you wish to say anything there, Councillor Lowe? We move on then to item 11.3, the Remuneration Committee minutes. Thank you, Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you. I move that Council note and receive the minutes from the Remuneration Committee meeting held on the 15th of October 2024 as attached, and endorse the actions from the Remuneration Committee held on 15th October 2024 as detailed in the attached minutes.
Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? Not being opposed, it's carried. Councillor Tatterson?
No, thank you. Just to note that these were one of the committees of the last council, and these are probably the last of those. So thanks to all those previous councillors who were on that committee.
And can I compliment you on your pronunciation of remuneration? 11.4, we have the appointment to committees and delegates for 2024-25. Councillor Natalie.
Great. I move that councillors be formally appointed to council committees in accordance with the attached register of council committees and advisory groups 2024 to 2025.
Seconded by Councillor Fote. Is that motion opposed? Motion not being opposed is carried.
So council operates a range of committees that require a councillor nominee. Each year council reviews the appointments. A review was conducted in November 2024 with the new council, and the updated register of council committees and advisory groups as attached is now provided for council approval. It's worth noting that this, I believe, was the first year that we had a rush of people to be on the Audit and Risk Committee. So that's a good sign of a new council and new councillors that are interested in how things are run and how things work. So I can't speak for all the councillors, but I think we're all excited to get involved with our new committees and to find out more about our community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Madley. I must say that the diversity on this council is quite extraordinary, and that was shown and reflected in the fact that people actually dived into the various committees in a pretty even way. Often there's a whole group of people who want to do one and others who don't want to do others, so it bodes well for the next 4 years. Item 12.1, the Geographical Information Services GIS Panel of Providers. Do I have a motion here? Councillor Vanneman.
So I propose or recommend that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached tender contract for 2025/064 evaluation report for Geographical Information System Services Panel of Providers, and 2, that we note that the information contained in the attached confidential tender contract for Geographical Information System Services Panel of Providers was designated confidential by the General Manager because it contains confidential information as defined in Section 3.1 of the Local Government Act 2020. Except that once this recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful tenderer can be made public.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Tatterson. Is that motion opposed? The motion not being opposed is carried, so I can announce that the successful panel providers for platform provision, cloud hosting and consulting services as COHGA Proprietary Limited, ESRI Australia Proprietary Limited, Technology One Proprietary Limited, and Woolpert Australia Proprietary Limited, and GP1 Consulting Proprietary Limited for consultancy services only. Did you wish to say something, Councillor Vanneman?
Just briefly, that it's really good to see that we've got a good range of providers in this space, and that it's allowing our council staff to operate in real time for planning and development in benefit of the whole community. So this is a really good step forward.
I must say, when I'm wandering around our communities and talking to people who have got an idea on technology, they talk in very glowing terms about the IT of this council, which, given so much relies now on it, it's nice to know that we've got good people in there and good consultants as well, good providers. The next item, I believe, oh no, we don't. Next item is the reopening of Slavins Lane part in 12.2. Do we have a motion for that? Councillor Ripper, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that. I'd like to move 1, pursuant to Section 223 of the Local Government Act 1989, which remains a saved provision under the transition of the Local Government Act 2020. Council authorise the Chief Executive Officer or their delegate to write to the licensee of the unused road licence 156699 of its intention to reopen to public traffic part of their licence over Slavins Lane from Redbank Road to Crockett Street, Stratford, and 2, Council appoint 3 councillors.
I've got those names here if you'd like. Councillor Ripper?
Yes.
It's Councillor Tatterson, Councillor Ripper, Councillor Bannerman, with an alternate of Councillor Fote.
So Councillor Ripper, Tatterson, Bannerman and Fote. 2, form Slavins Lane Unused Road Licence Committee that is established by Council under Section 2231(b)(I) of the Act to consider written submissions/objections and to hear any persons who in their written submission under Section 223 of the Act have requested that they be heard in support of their submission/objection. I'd like to take paragraph 3 as written.
Yes, is that motion seconded? Councillor Fote, is that motion opposed? Motion not being opposed, it's carried. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. Some background is that the property owner of the land on the west side of Lee Street in Stratford is subdividing land for residential purposes and has requested Council reopen part of Slavins Lane by revoking, in part, an unused road licence to enable supporting infrastructure for the subdivision works to be completed. Unused road licences are issued and administered by the Department of Energy, Environment, Climate Action, DECA, with the prior consent of Council when a road is not required for public traffic. Likewise, an unused road licence may be revoked, fully or in part, on the written request from Council when the road is required for public traffic. The unused road licence has a DECA reference number 1506699. The part of the unused road licence proposed to be reopening along Slavins Lane is from Redbank Road to Crockett Street. This supporting infrastructure required by the subdivision approval includes the provision of walking paths, drainage infrastructure along Crockett Street and Slavins Lane. This is not unused road licence currently held over Crockett Street. Say again from the beginning of there. There is no unused road licence currently held over Crockett Street from Lee Street to Slavins Lane. An initial letter outlining the proposal was prepared by Council officers and was sent to the holder of the unused road licence in 16th of September 2024. This letter also indicates that a report would be tabled at a future meeting of Council for resolution. Phone conversation was later held with the licence holder, who was generally supportive of the proposal. To open the road, the process requires Council to resolve that Slavins Lane from Redbank Road to Crockett Street is required to be open for public traffic and formally request the Department of Energy, DECA, pursuant to Section 4071 and the Land Act 1958 to revoke in part the unused road licence 1506699 held over this road. The revocation of this unused road licence does not oblige Council to declare this road on its register or public roads or to undertake any road maintenance on this road. Subject to Council approval, once open to public traffic, the road will remain a non-maintained road. The infrastructure works required by the residential development west of Lee Street will be completed by the developer at their cost. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ripper. We move now on to the Coongulla Special Charge Scheme Works 12.3. Thank you, Councillor Tatterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender contract 2024071 evaluation report for Coongulla Special Charge Scheme Works and note that the information contained in the attached confidential tender contract 2024071 evaluation report for Coongulla Special Charge Scheme Works was designated as confidential by General Manager Built and Natural Environment on the 18th of November 2024 because it contains confidential information as defined under Section 3.1 of the Local Government Act 2020 as being private commercial information, being information provided by a business, commercial or financial undertaking that if released would unreasonably expose the business, commercial or financial undertaking to disadvantage, except that once the recommendation has been adopted, the name of the successful tenderer can be made public.
Thank you, Councillor Tatterson. Is that seconded? Councillor Bannerman just beat you again, Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? The motion not being opposed is carried. Councillor Tatterson.
Thanks, Mayor. I guess the awarding of the contract is a major milestone for the Coongulla Township. Some years ago, the council adopted 2 special charge schemes for Coongulla to see some sealing and upgrading of the road network, and these roads have since been designed and now out for contract. I would hope that once these roads are constructed, it'll have a similar result as what we've achieved down at Port Albert, where the sealing of the road has transformed the town into a far more livable area. So I congratulate the officers on getting this one to this point and certainly look forward to the sealing of the streets, which will get rid of the dust and hopefully improve the traffic flow around the town, which is a great result for that community.
And can I say, Councillor Tatterson, that the successful tenderer was Bairnsdale Road Services Proprietary Limited. We come on to 12.4. Councillor Stevens, you declare...
Yes, I'd like to declare a conflict of interest due to my involvement with the Friends of Hesco Town.
That's one of the challenges, councillors, is when someone's involved in pretty well every community in their local community, every group, they often have these challenges with conflicts, or declaring conflicts at least. Okay, councillors, 12.4, quick response grants. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Councillor Madeleine.
I move that Council note the information regarding applications received under the Quick Response Grant Scheme for the period July 2024 to October 2024, as per attachment 12.4.1.
Councillor Bannerman seconded. Is that motion opposed? Motion not being opposed, it's carried. Did you wish to speak?
Thank you. The Quick Response Grant Scheme aims to fulfil community need by providing a quick turnaround for funding and provides an opportunity for the community to access funding outside the community grants timeline. The QRGS supports the delivery of projects that demonstrate positive impacts on the wider Wellington community. Eligible projects submitted under this program are assessed within 2 weeks. And applications in this report were assessed between July 2024 to October 2024. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We can invite Councillor Stevens back in. Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Now, this is an opportunity for anyone in the gallery who may wish to say anything to come forward and do so. If you do come forward, please use the lectern, your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes or so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't planning to speak. I'm Veronica Barnes from Rosedale, and with such a lot of lovely new faces, I thought I needed to just stand up and welcome you all and wish you a good term ahead. And yeah, thanks to Councillor Bannerman for representing Rosedale. And yeah, all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. Any online comments?
None, Mayor.
Okay. We don't need to go into closed session, so I will close the meeting at 5:23.